Welcome back once again to Old Reacts. And today we have part 3 of Islam is Going Viral series. But it's going to be a little different. This is not a pro-Islam video here. So this is coming from the perspective of someone else who is not Muslim, right? And their thoughts on this whole thing, Islam going viral. So, I like to hear everybody. I like to hear everything. Different opinions. I'm probably not going to agree. But let's see. Let's hear them out. All right, let's get right to it. And this is from a channel called Ruslan KD. And the title is Islam is Converting Millions. Christians are losing? Question mark. All right, let's get right to it.
Why are different people like Andrew Tate and Sneeko flocking to Islam?
See all over Twitter, all these churches are losing their mind. It seems very complicated. Islam seems very, very simple.
How many days have you been a Muslim for?
I said the words and everything when I went to the mosque. I was pretty proud.
And I totally agree with that. Islam, that's what I found as a previous Christian and a previous 5%er. I found that Islam is pretty simple. Let's continue.
Private about it for a while.
Well, in the latest interview with Sam Harris, he went on Chris Williamson's podcast and they started to unpack why more and more young men are converting to Islam at drastic rates. And one take from Jordan Peterson that will completely shatter most people's perception of Christianity. While at the same time...
Oh, no, not Jordan Peterson. Ugh. Listen, I already did a video on Jordan Peterson. Not a fan at all. To me, he is a phony, in my opinion. But let's continue.
Pointing out some things about Christianity that some of us have been saying and others of us would like to point to for others to reconsider. So this video is going to be a doozy. It's probably going to trigger you. Sam Harris has done stuff with guys like Jordan Peterson. He's an author. He's a thought leader. He's an atheist. He has been very hostile towards religion.
Oh, Sam Harris, notorious religion hater. But we're going to listen anyway. Let's see.
Historically, and Chris Williamson is a pretty massive podcaster in the men's space. Stay till the end of the video because there's one underlying thread in all of this that is not accurate. So just stay till the end.
Of Westerners choosing to convert to Islam in adult life. Obviously, you spent a lot of your career criticizing Islam, and now we have, I don't want to accuse it of LARPing. These people very well may truly believe in the doctrine, but
he called them loppers. They said LARPing, which is like it's like cosplay.
I saw Andrew Tate's conversion. Well, I mean,
I never heard that before. That's new.
Islam is just mimetically, it's perfect for a specific audience. It's a explicitly macho religion, right? It's a nope religion, right? It's just
Wow. I can't believe it. I'm agreeing with something that this guy said. Wow. All right, let's continue.
Ain't that good?
What the frick? Sheesh.
This man said it's a no religion. Now watch what he says next.
You know that's true. You know that's true.
With Christianity, you have to pretend. You have to pretend to be happy to be losing for the longest time. And you're basically just waiting for Jesus to come back and rectify this grave injustice. Like the meek shall inherit the earth. You're just, there's no putting this place right. We're not going to win until we see, Jesus arrive on trailing clouds of glory.
Now it's interesting because Sam Harris is friendly with Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson, when he talks about that verse, the meek shall inherit the earth. Have you heard his breakdown of that?
Hold on, before I let it continue, he's talking about the Christians waiting for Jesus to fix everything. What a surprise is going to be because the Muslims are waiting for Jesus, peace be upon him, as well. And we have a different narrative. I'm not going to get into that right now, but something to think about.
Okay, so here's the Jordan Peterson clip. Some of you guys have seen this, but just juxtapose Sam Harris's And by the way, I am not saying that Jordan Peterson has the orthodox authority on how he's interpreting this verse. I'm just presenting you guys an alternative to this, like, be a pansy and so Jesus comes back view that's kind of being presented. But listen.
Meek shall inherit the earth. Meek is not a good translation, or the word has moved in the 300 years or so since it was translated. What it means is this: those who have swords and know how to use them, but keep them sheathed, will inherit the world. And that's another thing I've been telling. Yeah, no kidding. That's a lot different, man.
Difference.
That's a big difference. It's so great. And so, like, one of the things I tell young men, well, and young women as well, but the young men really need to hear this more, I think, is that you should be a monster. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You know, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. You want to take a back seat and all of that. It's like, no.
The reason I'm not a fan is because I find them to be phony. Without a doubt, an atheist, and tries to use manipulation using scripture and to make people believe that he's some kind of believer, maybe not in the full traditional sense, but he is a believer, and then he gives these unique takes or whatever he wants to do. But if you listen to him carefully, he's not somebody who's really interested in truth or finding truth. He has his mind made up. There's an agenda there. That's why I'm not a fan. I don't see the sincerity there. I'm a fan of sincere people, whether I agree with you or don't agree with you. There was a time where I thought he was sincere, but I feel like that was exposed, especially with Brother Muhammad Hijab. His interviews with him really, to me, exposed him big time. And what he did immediately after that, to me, that said it all. And so I'm not a fan. But anyway, let's continue.
Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it. The line.
I love that.
Interesting, right?
I love that. I love that because the character in the Bible that's described with being most meek is Moses. Because Moses had almost a unlimited connections to God's power, right?
And that's one thing we got to disagree on. We as Muslims definitely do not agree with that. We believe that Moses was very strong and he was a stern prophet. Meek would be the total opposite of Moses, or also known as Musa, peace be upon him. But let's continue.
And yet he had restraint with it. Literally, it said to the point that at the end of Deuteronomy, that doesn't mean that he didn't make a mistake and smite the rock, but to the point that when he's being described in that last chapter, Deuteronomy, it says that Moses did terrifying acts. You know what I mean? Like, and not in a negative sense, but they were so grand that it was terrifying to see that level of power. And so it's fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's what.
Well, split in the sea, that is quite incredible. Imagine seeing that. I guess that's what he's referring to right there.
What we always talk about here: become the priest, provider, protector.
That's right.
Right. That a godly man is all three, not just one.
I guess there's one Christian sect where they do have an expectation of kind of winning, a thousand years of millennial glory until and then Jesus comes. But for most,
that's postmillennialism.
That's right.
And so it's interesting that he notes that most of Christianity is unappealing to young men because of its everything is terrible, everything's bad, we lose down here, might as well be docile and just suck, right? And it doesn't overtly state that in any scriptures, but that kind of becomes the conclusion some people have, not all people have, who hold to this type of a view that the world's going to go really, 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 really bad. What's the point of even trying? Because Satan is the god of this world and everything is terrible and it's all a big conspiracy to trick you.
Most Christians, it's a story of failure. And then they get to say, look, we were right. Jesus, yeah. With Islam, there's an expectation that they're going to conquer the world, right? And there's an imperative to conquer the world for serious Muslims. It's like, you don't have to be impatient necessarily. You can take as long as you want, but we all know this is moving in one direction, and you need to be a spiritual warrior. And if you take this really far, if you become a jihadist, right, you're especially doctrinaire, militant, true believer, well, then you're a kind of spiritual James Bond. I mean, then it's like,
wait a minute, what did he say with jihadi? Wait. I'm gonna have to go back real quick. Hold on, I gotta hear what he was saying.
it's really far. If you become a jihadist, right, you're especially doctrinaire, militant, true believer, well, then you're a kind of.
You hear how he slipped that in there? So if you're a jihadi, you're a true believer. You see the mind games he plays? He think he's slick. You're not slick.
To be Jocko and care about and know that you're going to go to paradise, right? Like, so you get all the tools.
He said a spiritual James Bond.
it's the first person shooter that literally get all the good guns. Like, it's not this boring. I'm pretending to just I'll turn the other cheek. Thank you, sir. Can I have another? And where it's a high T religion, right?
I wasn't gonna lie. That was another thing I could never accept as a Christian. Is slap me in my left cheek and you offer your right. That just was never gonna fly with me. Never. So, but anyway.
High T religion. High testosterone.
And that's why, like Andrew Tate thinks he's had a real insight.
Whew. Now, there's one thing he gets wrong here. The entire presupposition of this question is flawed.
Right.
When people say that there's all these people flocking to Islam, do you know how that's happening? Birth.
Yeah.
There's
false. You get 2 thumbs down. No way. Listen, births, yes, that is true. We are multiplying like crazy. But that is not it. Islam is the fastest growing religion, not only through birth rate, but also through conversion. So for you to say that is completely either you're ignorant to the fact or you just straight up lying. One of the two, because that's false.
More people deconverting from Islam than deconverting from Christianity.
Oh my God. I can't believe I just heard him say that. I can't believe. And he's saying it with a straight face, man. Man, you should be ashamed of yourself. To say that with a straight face. Look, even your friend right there, look. You see him? Look, even he's not buying it. He's looking at him like, you really gonna lie like that? I'll go along with it. Man, that is a bunch of nonsense. Anyway, let's continue and hear the more nonsense.
So Islam is growing by sheer volume through birth.
Yeah.
Not through conversion, not through I was raised one way and then I convert and I start following Islam.
Right.
I can't take it. It's so preposterous, so ridiculous. Or a situation like Speaker's Corner, where you have these open debates and dialogues and all these things happening. Every time you see that, you see Christians or atheists, mainly Christians, becoming Muslim. You see it a million times. Guys, girls taking Shahada, and it's mostly women. Mostly women. I've never seen that and seen somebody leave Islam. I've heard people come and claim like, oh, I'm an ex-Muslim and this and that, and they say the little story. And 9 times out of 10, when that gets talked about, you end up finding out they didn't really know anything about Islam at all, like nothing. So it makes sense that they could leave it. So I'm not saying here saying it never ever happens, but the picture he's trying to paint is outright lie. That's all it is. It is nonsense. It's the total opposite of what he's saying. The total opposite. I can't believe he has the audacity to sit there. He can't be serious. He can't be speaking honestly right now. He's just catering to his audience. There's no way he could say that and have any kind of honesty in his heart in saying that. He knows that's a bunch of nonsense. And if he don't, then he's incredibly, incredibly ignorant. Wow, I can't. Whew, wow.
Right? It's the total opposite. It's Christianity is actually growing when we're looking at how many people are converting from other faiths and worldviews. When you look at what's happening in China, when you look at what's happening in a lot of these underground churches, right? And so to me, how you measure if something is actually growing isn't who's having the most amount of kids, though having kids is important.
Okay, so look, he's being deceptive. Hippo. He being a hypocrite. All right, look. He's mentioning how you have like these underground churches and stuff in different places that are not primarily Christian, right? Like China and other places and whatnot, right? Maybe India, whatever. And you know what? That's true. No doubt that that's happening. But just because that's happening, that doesn't account for the entirety of the religion. No, it does not. Yes, that's telling you that's happening, but overall, if you look at the overall picture, what you're finding is there's mostly Christians are leaving Christianity and they're becoming more atheists. And maybe second to that, they're becoming Muslim. So, I don't know what this guy's talking about.
It's how many people are saying this is more truthful in a society that costs me everything for following the thing that's more truthful.
There's more strength and restraint than just showing people how dominance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what gets confused is dominance versus dominion.
Hey, this is
all right. So that's the end of the video. Pretty disappointing. You know, I was hoping the guy would be sincere, be honest, but he's not. He ended up saying some completely ludicrous nonsense, and I'm just gonna call him out on that. I'm shocked, to be honest. I'm still shocked that he had the audacity to say these things. And I'm sure anybody who wants to believe that is going to believe that and be happy about it. But what I suggest to the people is that research it yourself. And then you're going to see the reality. You know, and I'm not trying to knock. Remember, I'm a former Christian. I was also a 5%er, but my whole family's Christian. So I don't have nothing against Christianity, Christians, nothing like that. I speak from the heart. That's what I do. And I just can't stay shut just to make people happy. I can to a certain degree, and I do. I don't say everything I want to say. But there's some things, man, it's like, man, you gotta call a spade, man. And this guy said some nonsense. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it right there until the next one. Inshallah.